Well, good morning. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics coming to you live this morning to discuss the topic of COVID-19 and its effects, if any, on shipping of live fish and plants at this time through UPS, United States Parcel Services, or FedEx or UPS or any ground shippers that we may have. I wanted to welcome Jason at Fish Tropics with us this morning, and anyone else that's going to be joining us. This was an impromptu type stream. I was following a friend, Jeremy Stellhorn in Illinois, who will be joining us here briefly in the panel. And also I've contacted Dena Edwards at Everything Aquatic out of Oregon. I do believe she's located in Oregon. Darlene Howard. Hello, Darlene. How are you doing, sweetheart? Good to have you with us. I don't know why it hasn't jumped up over here on my chat, but I see it in the live stream. There you are. Hey, Daryl. How are you doing? Good to see you all. So today we're going to be discussing COVID-19 and how it has affected. Hey, Scott, did you want to join us this morning? I can send you the link in Messenger. How about that? No, I'll just share it in the chat. Anybody who wants to come up on the panel, come on up. We're going to discuss today the effects of COVID-19 with shipping, whether it has affected us or not. There was a friend of Jeremy Stellhorn's that said it has not affected their business at all. So I'm hoping that they will join us today and give us the pros and the cons of shipping at this time, whether they've had any effects from USPS or FedEx or UPS or any other ground shipping that they may be having here within the United States. Hello, Sandy. How are you doing? Wanted to welcome, James from Fish Room Fever. Anybody wants to join me on the panel today, let me know. I've been out of the link a little bit, or out of the loop just a little bit, not being able to participate in everyone's live streams due to my busy schedule with the church and with being a caregiver for my son. He went through surgery Wednesday for the AV graft. Well, he is in pain, so good thoughts and prayers for him at this time, if you don't mind. I shared the shared the link in the chat. We got Jeremy Stellhorn coming on up.
Hello.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Hello.
We are live.
How are you?
Good to have you with us. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was just filling everyone in that's viewing us right now to let them know that we are going to be discussing COVID-19 pandemic and its effects, if any, on shipping live fish and plants at this time. I don't remember the friend that was in the conversation the other day that shipping and not having any issues at all. Do you remember their name?
Not offhand. There were several places that hadn't had any issues.
Yeah.
And then lots of other people have.
Okay. Got another friend coming up. His name is Scott from Fancy Tail Aquatics. And we've got Dena from Everything Aquatic. Welcome to the chat today.
Hiya.
Thanks for
inviting Scott. Me. Hey, Dena. Can you see Jeremy? You know Jeremy, Dena?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know Scott from Fancy Tail Aquatics?
I do not believe so.
Well, Scott, this is Dena, and above your head, Scott, is Jeremy. And we're going to get this discussion on the run, probably a 30-minute to a 45-minute. I hope you all have time to stay with me.
I'll stay as long as I can.
All right.
Hopefully I can stay that.
Jeremy has just started shipping. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've done a few other things, but we just opened up the Little Egypt Aquarium store, and then pretty soon we'll be having our online website ready once we figure out what's going on with all the shipping here.
Well, congratulations with that. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you.
Also, Dena, you have Everything Aquatic.
Yeah.
And how old is that business now?
I started it in 2014, so about 6 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you if you've had any issues shipping at this time. I know it's still cool there, right?
We're actually spraying. My grass is so tall, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to find someone to hire and not having luck there. But shipping, there are delays going on. Yeah, you can see the big oak tree in the back's already starting to leaf out. It's spraying here. Um, in fact, a package that I have arriving today to me is taking a week to get from the East Coast. And it was an order I expected to arrive probably on Tuesday. So 3 extra days. For me, shipping out, it's odd how it is because I've had a lot of first class ground packages. Since I have food, I don't have to do the priority or the faster shipping methods for the most part. And I've had that arrive a day earlier than expected. And yet priority mail would take as long as 9 or 10 days. I
Wow.
have one package I shipped out the end of March, so it's been about a month now, to Italy, but Italy imposed a 30-day delay, so he's still waiting for his order. And in fact, he's a little upset and filed a complaint with PayPal for non-delivery. It's one of those things. We can't fight it.
Yep.
We just
Some
have
things
to
we
work
can't
with it.
control. Yeah, have to work with it. Scott, can you hear us?
Yes.
Scott, how long has Fancy Tail Aquatics been rolling around? I forget.
Officially 3 years, I guess, really longer than that, but I didn't get serious until about 3 years ago.
Okay. The same as Dena with everything aquatic, you have your own food line as well. And so I wanted to know, has your shipping been affected by this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah. Um, my food is taking about 2 to 3 days longer than usual. Um, and right now, honestly, would be an ideal time for me to sell live fish because everyone's home. But I cannot afford at this time to, instead of 2 to 3 days, have fish delayed 7 or 8 days. I'm not going to risk it. Matter of fact, that's why I needed to contact you. I wanted to update my website, due to COVID-19. Shipping is, delayed in it, for a while. I just can't risk that. I mean, the weather is just now turning fine, but I can't risk live fish.
Right, and that's understandable. Jeremy, you have anything to input at this time?
Just that it's been taking about 10 days for most things that have been shipped to me to get from, Florida or, up on the West Coast to get to me around between 7 to 10 days.
Have
So
you
I haven't
received
tried
any
shipping
live fish?
anything. I haven't. I ordered a bunch of plants and they took 10 days and they came in pretty rough. So I didn't want to risk any fish on either side of it. I've been, having local stuff that I've been messing with, but nothing shipped in or not. I just, don't want to put them through it.
Right. At this time, I want to let our audience know that if they have any questions for anyone on the panel, just direct it into the chat, and I will try my best to share it on the screen and direct it to the person that you're asking the question to. This is a time for you as hobbyists and as customers to want to know, is it okay to order? Is it not okay to order? Should we do something different? Some people are even experiencing problems with their local pet stores not getting live fish in, like Petco, PetSmart, Pet Supplies Plus. My local Pet Supplies Plus is not allowing anyone in the store, but if you contact them by phone, they are doing curb service. They'll bring it out to your vehicle after they call you and say your order's ready and things like that. Some Petcos here locally in Alabama are allowing you to come in and shop, but they'll giving you like 10 minutes to go over to the fish area, make your selection, go to the counter, and someone will bring you your fish and you can get out. So there are monitoring how many people come in and out of their stores. Dena, are you having any live fish at this time, or mostly supplies?
I'm just focusing on supplies at this point in time. I am so busy, I don't have time to take care of tanks and worry about breeding fish or anything. Once all these restrictions have been lifted, I have plans to hire somebody because I am swamped. I literally sleep and work and get not much else done from there.
Okay,
But
I'm sorry, we have one question from Fish Tropic. He wants to know where all of our stores are located. So Dena, go ahead.
I'm in Southern Oregon.
Jeremy?
Just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and Redbud, Illinois.
Scott?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, I hope that answered your questions. I know Fish Tropic is in Canada. Do you any of you ship to Canada?
I do.
I have not.
Not at this moment, no.
Okay. Tiffany White is asking, those who ship fish, do you usually use oxygen in your bags?
When I
Uh,
did ship fish, I never used oxygen.
I've
Okay.
never used it either.
I have.
You
Just
have?
as a little backup, yep.
And when I was shipping livestock, I didn't use oxygen. I just did the grab the bag process and rubber band it and double bagged my fish. I've never used breather bags either.
I didn't either. I had too many. I tried breather bags. I had too many trouble with them breaking. So I just went to regular bags, double bagged it, made sure you had the correct proportion of water to air inside the bag, and off it went.
Okay, great. We've got Chewy Ltd from Canada saying air transport is an issue for cargo from many parts of the world. Unless it is bred in the USA, it's going to be difficult to get fish. That's true. Right now, fish is probably on hold. Next, Chewy says, when I worked in wholesale, he's talking to Tiffany, oxygen was a must. Those are just some comments. Mr. B's and Fish and Things. Hello, Brandon. He's from Canada as well. He says, not a lot of fish moving in Canada. Neither are a lot of fish moving here in the U.S. right now. Any of the panel want to input anything, just let me know. Tiffany says to Chewy, I wonder where I can get a small supply.
I have looked into it. I believe most welding shops, you can get it from there.
Yeah, I get mine from a welding shop down the road.
Okay. Thank you all, guys. Redfish, Bluefish, hello and welcome. He's speaking to Tiffany, though. And from an old school angelfish breeder, your videos are killers. So that's just a comment. Thank you, Jason. Chewy is saying, without knowing your location, I cannot give you a suggestion, but you can get pressurized oxygen tanks. And so a couple people on the panel suggested go to a welding shop. They supply small supplies of oxygen.
That's where I went to get CO2 when I had a high-tech planted tank too.
Okay. Thank you, Dena.
You're welcome.
Jason at Fish Tropics is saying, I'll have a nice overstock to sell when this is over. LOL. Won't we all?
Well, for me, it just gives me longer to breed them out, more to sell.
Yep.
Yeah, my mutt
If you
guppy.
have the tank space, yeah.
Yeah, forget the tank space. Susan for SLC Aquatics is supposed to be breaking down the fish room. Well, I've broken down one 10-gallon because my self-cloning crayfish have decided to bless me at this time of my life.
Isn't that how it always works out, though?
I have
Yes.
hundreds of crustaceans. I have mystery snails going out my ears. My mutt guppies are deciding to just go crazy with beautiful patterns that are just, I have no time to cull and pick breeders. What else? I still kept a small colony of the American green uh, Delta guppies, and guess what? Susan has bukus of American green Delta guppies, and nowhere to put them. Let me see if there's any more questions. Are there any more questions, guys? Am I missing anything? Um, just a thank you from Tiffany. Um, you can also get it from scuba places too if you are.
Well, let me interrupt that. I'm a certified diver. They sell pressurized air, not oxygen.
Thank you. Thank you. There is a difference. Fish Tropic says more inches, more money. Yeah, you can charge more for an adult fish, but you're also losing reproduction time and, depending on the age, the lifespan of that species, right, Dena?
That could factor in, especially if they're crowded and not able to grow and start becoming stunted early on. It makes it harder as they age and mature. I know when I was breeding angels real heavily, if I didn't get them thinned out fast enough, that by the time they reached adulthood, if they were stunted too severely, that when they tried to breed, the act of reproducing would kill them. It would be too stressful.
No,
That's
well,
true. Yeah.
So I make
Jeremy,
sure when I'm breeding to call out anything that looks like it's severely stunted, not going to grow out of it.
yeah, keeping the colonies together, the hormones that's in the tank can also cause dormancy, right?
It'll slow growth.
It slows.
Except for the one that's the dominant fish in the tank. You'll notice that there's one bigger than the rest. And that's the main one, the dominant one of the tank. And the rest of them, they're getting stunted by all the hormone in the water.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, did you have you at one time bred angels too, didn't you, Jeremy?
no, I have a couple of pistogrammas that I'm breeding and Amica splendens. I kind of like the smaller fish.
Okay. You had some big fish at one time too, didn't you? Like 3 years ago?
I do love the angels. I have 9 angels in my tank right now. My biggest female used to be close to hand size, but she passed on. She got old and passed on. But
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I have rainbows and all kinds of different stuff that I just currently keep for myself. But yeah, I kind of prefer doing the dwarf cichlids and different stuff like that.
Amen. Fish Tropic Jason has a solution to all of this overpopulation. It is called water change, water change, water change.
Oh,
You don't
yeah.
want to see my fish room. My fish room levels are almost 6 inches down. I walked in there a few minutes ago before the broadcast, and I said, "Oh my God, these fish need Susan so bad." Um, and I'm going to get there. Really, I told Rod today. I said I have got to get these tanks broken down. The pond that I put out back that I was going to put substrate in, I was going to put plants in, I was going to let it get cycled before I added anything in there. And on Easter night when it flooded my house, guess what floated away?
Oh no.
The pond floated away, but we were able to recover it. But everything in it's gone. So,
Yeah.
that red clay, sand, and muck that came up out of the creek was not fun. But yesterday we were blessed with our new floors. We instead of went with carpet, we went with the waterproof vinyl planks. So it looks like a wood floor in my house now. So the salesman told me that in case of another flood, I can pop them up, let them dry out, and lay them back down. So
Oh, wow.
it's going to be more cost effective, and you know, hopefully we won't flood again.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully. Thirsty Rabbits, thanks to you all the way from Australia. Welcome. Good day, Fish Mom and panelists and chat.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Good to
Nope.
have you in the house.
yeah.
Um, what's Chewy saying? Chewy says, So have you read the report out of China, Fish Tropic, about Chinese scientists finding airborne particles of the virus? I've heard of that. Have y'all heard anything about that?
I have. There's been some studies that I've looked at say that depending on the size of the droplet or particle that's in the air, that the really tiny ones can stay suspended, something like one study said 3 to 4 hours, another one said up to 9 hours. So you just never know. You could walk behind somebody that was there 5 minutes ago that coughed something up, and congratulations, you're the new owner of it. It's dangerous.
I don't want to stir anything weird up, but the fish fam, back before Christmas, we were doing water changes and we were having high levels of death in our aquariums. And then in January, we hear this big outbreak in China of this deadly virus. And I'm not a scientist, so correct me if I'm wrong. In the air, there's either high humidity or low humidity. Well, to me, humidity is water. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
So at all times, there's water droplets in the air, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'll close that subject. I want to say hi to, I just like stirring things up. Hi to Flynn's Fish Forum from Canada. How are you doing, Flynn? Good to have you with us. I don't see any questions. Okay, guys, any questions for the panelists? I want you to ask them. We have Jeremy from, what is it, Little Egypt?
Yep, Little Egypt Aquarium Club, and then we opened a store to help fund for some of the neat, studies and educational stuff. So it helps pay for stuff like that.
Great. And we've got Dena from Everything Aquatic, and we've got Scott from Fancy Tail Aquatics. And if anyone else wants to join the panel that ships fish and plants and other products, I'm going to share the link in the chat at this time. Y'all could come on up. Some people said they've not been affected by this pandemic with their shipping, and for that, I'm happy for them. But most of us, even as general hobbyists who like swapping fish amongst the hobbyists, we've had to wait, even though it's beautiful in spring weather here in southeast of the United States. I'm in central Alabama. I've been watching the weather, wanting to put my guppies out there in the tubs, and the next week I still see we've got the 40s and the 50s going on, so I can't put them out yet because I don't want to, lose my stock and cause things to go ranchy in the pond. So if you're being affected, we want to hear about it. If you haven't been affected, we want to hear about it. And if you didn't know about it, we want to hear about it. Say, what are y'all talking about? Okay. Flynn says he's doing good, busy with school and some aquarium cleaning customers. How are we guys doing? We're all doing pretty good, Flynn. We're trying to make the best of the situation. And my fish room is in dire need of seeing some Susan, so I'm trying to get in there. Chewy says, it all ties in with the idea that birds and fish are also developing antibiotic resistance genes. Hopefully fish TB does not mutate. Amen. I don't want to see that come in my aquariums, not one bit. Rose Aquatics is in the house. Hey, Rose, good to have you with us. She said something. Hey, Susan. I do what? But she said, oh, she's shipping, but it's hard to find boxes.
I kind of have a similar problem. Even if I wanted to ship, the problem is like Home Depot and Lowe's has lines of hundreds of people, and I have to get styrofoam, to cut down to put in the boxes, for installation. I'm not going to wait in line. And, behind 100 people to try to get packaging material. So that's probably another reason that I'm not too interested, in doing fish anytime soon.
Okay. Anybody else having problems with finding supplies?
I'm not, but I order it from a wholesale company and boxes show up by the pallet here.
Okay. Yeah, it depends on the size of your business and what you've been doing prior to this situation. So I know some of our grocery stores and our pet stores, a couple of our LFSs, like Ed's Pet World, he has shut his doors, but he will take orders over the phone and then bring the order out to you. And he has more than fish. He has, mammals, small rodents for feeding reptiles like boa constrictors, and he still gets tarantula spiders in and um, oh, I know what that lizard's called. The bearded dragons. Yeah, he has those in. He does saltwater and freshwater. Fish Tropics in Canada says nope, he's been stocked up with his supplies, good, since November. And then Rose Aquatics says I'll be glad when the supply chain starts again soon. I know here in our area today has been the day that some local businesses are starting to open at 50%. They tried opening our beaches at 5 o'clock last night, and this morning they shut them down because they're not being obedient. They're not going out there with their masks, and they're not keeping their personal distance. So the only way to do it is slap it closed again. Thirsty Rabbit says I ordered audio and mix 4 weeks ago, so no show yet. I'm not sure what that means. Anybody want to interpret that for me? Or if Thirsty wants to expound on that a little bit. Yeah, Dena's outside, so he says it must be a lovely day where the birds are chirping Dena.
Yeah, it was a little cold this morning. We got down to 60 last night, but right now looks like it's about, oh, my thermometer's off. It says it's 52, and I know better than that. But yeah, it's probably about 65 to 70 right now, a completely clear blue sky. So it's a beautiful spring day. That's why I chose to sit outside. I'm trapped in the house packaging and indoors with order stuff anyway. So I take every chance I can get to get outside.
Yeah, it just reached 75 here. So
A couple days ago, we hit 87, I think.
Wow. Well, I want to say thanks to those that are logging on. I think we've got 14 present. So click that like button and share this out because I'm sure there's some great information that needs to be shared. Chewy is talking to Dena. How much has the ban on antibiotics affected your business to Canada, Dena?
Greatly, to be honest. Anytime I ship anything international, I have to include an itemized invoice showing pricing and products. And it always surprises me because certain products I know are going to get blocked and returned to me, but other products, customs lets it through. So it always surprises me why one can and one cannot, when my understanding, all antibiotics are supposed to be restricted to Canada. So I'm confused by what is allowable and what is not, because one time I could ship something, it gets returned, the next time it goes through.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've tried and searched online to find a list of what products are allowed, and I can't find a list. So I tell people who order antibiotics for Canada that I'm willing to ship it, but if it's returned, I will refund them for the product, but not the shipping cost.
Yeah, that's reasonable to me. Rose says she has 2 adult angelfish that she needs to ship, and I can't get the bags I need to ship them in for at least a month. Yeah,
Have you looked at Ken's Fish um, online? He's got bags in stock. I checked the other night.
I'm typing it in for her and anybody else.
But just because I had them the other night, don't mean they're not sold out.
True. That's true. I've quit ordering anything from Amazon because the materials that I need from Amazon, they're out of stock or they're not shipping it at this time. Some things will go through on schedule. My husband keeps ordering electronic things and he gets them in with no problem, and car parts and stuff like that. We're not going to discuss guns here today, Jason, so let's stay on topic, please. And let me see over here. I had to have 2 screens open because my StreamYard will show me everything typed. And then on YouTube, the person may have retracted their message, so I don't want to show it. Let's see. Rose Aquatics. Matter of fact, I have to go out and put my plants in my pond. Yeah, she's working on her pond today, and I will check with him. Nice spending time with y'all, but I got to run. Okay, Ro, thank you for coming by, and thank you for your questions and your input today, because it's going to be helpful to somebody else later on. Is there anything, you're going to hear my choo-choo go by. Is there anything that you all can suggest as hobbyists and as business owners, what we could do temporarily to offset any of the problems that we may be facing concerning shipping? Is there anything that I don't know, did I make myself plain enough or was that confusing enough? Anything we can do, anything you can suggest the customer, besides you have to add special clauses to your shipping requirements?
Well, one thing from my manufacturer, I placed an order for 35 pounds of bulk food. What I'm going to try to do, I know people are having a hard time getting fish food, period. Stores are closed and whatever, and I offer 11-ounce bags. Susan, I think you've seen them before. I mean, It's a lot of food for very low cost, so I've got that coming in, but the manufacturer's kind of backed up. So they've got me on order. But as far as shipping, I mean, I can't do anything to speed up the 5 to 10 day process, from when I ship out to when you get them.
No.
But ironically, I don't understand this. Maybe because of traffic, the mailman shows up about 4 hours early now, every day. But my stuff don't go out any quicker.
That's amazing. Dena, you got anything?
Obviously, the bulk of my customers are looking for medications or medicated foods. And with the delays, if there is a temporary fix that might help slow down the disease, or something that I know is a product that's in most any local fish store, if fish stores are open. I know some chose to close, but they didn't have to because pet stores, at least here in the US, are considered essential businesses. So I try to offer alternatives while they wait for their products to show up in case it is delayed unexpectedly. And one thing I've noticed too is I've been getting a big increase in people ordering staple type foods. I know you, Susan, you've been ordering foods for off and on for quite a while now. And
supply right now.
And with the staple foods, the orders are getting bigger. I've noticed some people that are trying different foods. So they might order 6 to 12 different kinds of small bags of food to try. And then there's the other customers who have been ordering from me that I'm shipping in a 12 by 12 cube because they're ordering so much at a time. So it's nice to see the business expanding out in other directions and not just so focused on medication. But I do understand that there's a lot of people having issues finding foods for human as well as for animals.
Yeah. And, I'm thankful that some of our local areas have started their lunching program again for the kids that are home that
Mhm.
normally eat free lunches and things. So that started
Yeah.
back up here.
I don't think that ever stopped here in Oregon, but there was a lot of criteria that couldn't have more than X number of people inside, and it was pick up and walk out. They couldn't stay to eat it, and all kinds of different criteria.
Yeah, Rod and I've been ordering our food and going and picking it up and bringing it home, or sitting in the parking lot and eating it. I have
Hmm.
a question from Psychedelic Hip, Hippocampus. She wanted to know uh, how my ponds are doing, and been a minute since I've caught anybody live. Good to have you with us today, dear. And you probably weren't in here earlier, but we had a flood Easter evening, so my outside pond floated away, and I had to go catch it and clean it out and start all over. The ponds on my porch basically are just growing duckweed and java moss. There is no livestock in them. I have to throw fish food in there every once in a while to keep the nutrients going for them, or the duckweed, as much as I hate the duckweed, it'll start dying and clogging up the filter. And I've been selling my livestock since I think the end of February because of life changes. And then as soon as this pandemic happened, my travel to my mom in Virginia has been delayed. But I've been calling her more often, trying to keep her mind stimulated. My younger sister is still concerned about her short term memory going and her depression increasing. I lost my sister in July and she just can't get over it.
Mm.
And she can't shake it. So we have to keep talking to her, keep her mind distracted, and keep her going on that. So the ponds are on hold, psychedelic hippocampus. Um, Yeah, Chewy's talking about baby booms. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of crazy
Yeah,
things.
yeah, they're expecting a pandemic baby boom.
Oh, let's see. No more questions from the chat. Oh, Thirsty Rabbit did want to know something. I got to go back up, Dena, you may be able to help answer his question. It's talking
Okay.
about shipments to Australia. Have you heard
Hmm.
any dates on when they will ship product to Australia again, as he can't wait to get Fish Fam merch? I didn't know the
Um,
borders were closed. Did you?
well, in fact, I shipped last week a product to Australia. Someone ordered off of eBay.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just certain products. I don't know, honestly. What I've shipped to Australia has gone through without an issue. I could say that much, other
Okay.
than a few days delay.
Well, I was going to let any of y'all know. I don't know if everybody's a moderator on my channel or not, but if you can, go ahead and share your link in the chat, and I will add your links afterwards because I didn't know who was actually going to participate. So I'll add the links to your stores or where they can contact you for orders. You can add that in the chat at this time. Go ahead and put your business name and your link in the chat if you want to, because they can contact you. If you're shipping, they can contact you.
Hmm.
Okay. Chewy says antibiotics may become controlled in the U.S. too, as the pressure is on from other countries. Alternative medicine is what they use up here for a lot of drugs. And Dena, because you work with antibiotic foods, you can go ahead and chime in here on
Yes,
that one.
there's the FDA is working towards restricting certain antibiotics. and it's basically the ones that are used prevalently for human use, because there's a lot of people buying fish drugs and using it to self-medicate. And then, like we heard early on, where people were taking chloroquine, they were killing themselves, because you never know what's mixed in with that drug. Even for me, my drugs are pure. There's no fillers in them, but I do not work in a sanitized area like a lab type thing. I have a room that's dedicated to it. And so there's a slight possibility of something getting mixed in together, but it would be very minute. But there is always that risk. The jugs that I receive products from, they're packaged in Mylar bags now. They don't even use containers anymore. And so who knows where anything could potentially pick up something that is unintended.
Right.
But that's the deal with veterinary grade medications, is while erythromycin is erythromycin, whether it's for veterinary use or for human use, it may be the same drug, but it's completely handled and processed differently.
Yep.
So in that regard, the FDA is trying to control antibiotics, but there's also a big push because people are abusing the drugs. Oh, my fish is sick. I don't know what's wrong with him. So let's dump this in. That didn't work. Let's dump that. Let's dump this. Or you get a new batch of fish in and you should quarantine them. Yes, but there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is wrong. This is just my personal opinion. When you're dumping drugs in that tank and there's no disease, you're building up a resistance. So in the future, when you need that drug, it stops working. And we have that problem now. Metronidazole is one of the biggest ones. Back in the 60s and 70s, that drug was a godsend for dealing with parasites. But today, it only works on very small range of protozoa and flagellate type parasites. And I keep seeing people saying that metronidazole works as an antibiotic too. It works against anaerobic bacteria, not oxygenated bacteria. So there's a big difference. In a tank full of water, water is H2O. There's oxygen in there. So your bacteria has oxygen to it. So metronidazole is a very poor choice for antibiotic use.
Yep.
The same thing I've noticed. I had to pull chloroquine because people were buying it and I was afraid it was for personal use, because suddenly I would sell in 2 or 3 days what I would normally sell in a month or more. And so I pulled it, and it's only offered with medicated food. But I'm starting to see an increase with fenbendazole. And I talked to my wholesaler that I go through, that I buy from, and I found out that fenbendazole is being used in some types of cancer treatments. So people, I'm afraid they're buying it for personal cancer treatment, which scares me to no end. Cancer is dangerous enough, let alone to take something that's not manufactured for human use. And so I can't keep it in stock. I put 2 or 3 jars out and it sold very quickly. So I may have to come up with an alternative to make sure people are using it strictly for ornamental fish, which is its intent.
All you can do is put a disclaimer out there. People are going to do what they do, but common sense has flown out the window.
Right. Well, when you check out on my store, there's a big disclaimer that says if you're using any restricted or I can't think of the word right now, any products that for the drug specifically, that it must be used for ornamental fish, cannot be used on sports fish, cannot be diverted to other animals, human. I mean, there's this long blurb, but I am an ex-programmer. I know for sure people do not read. The disclaimer is there if they choose to read it, but people choose not to. They just click, 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 then out.
And on your website also, if you order medication, there's a form that they have to fill out as well. Is that correct?
I stopped doing the form, but because it was such a pain in the butt and it delayed orders going out. And when people are ordering drugs, they need it shipped sooner, not later. And I may have to go back to that.
Yeah.
Especially like if someone's ordering fenbendazole, I may have to send a follow-up email, complete this form if you want your product.
Mhm.
type thing. I hate to do that because it adds more paperwork on my end too.
Yeah.
But I have to protect myself as well as people that are considering inappropriate uses of products.
Okay. On the screen is a question from Fish Tropic. You guys have stores. What are your thoughts on bloodworms?
I think they're fine. I would not use live bloodworms because the possibility of getting a parasite transferred to your fish is, remote but possible. Go with freeze dried or frozen because they've already been decontaminated. Through those processes, but otherwise, my fish. If y'all know me, I'm mainly a guppy guy. They go crazy for them.
Yeah, I sell a lot of freeze-dried bloodworms. In fact, I think I've sold close to 3 kilos of it just this month or April, last month. Today's May 1st. But I also have bloodworm flake if someone wants a flake option for it. And if and whenever I can find time, there's some flake mixes I want to start offering too. It's like I have a new veggie flake that's actually made from vegetables. There's like 10 or 12 different garden vegetables in it. And the people that have tried it and local people that have goldfish and koi, those fish just scarf up the flake because it's a vegetable content. And I don't even have it out on my website yet. So it's hard to sell something you don't list. But you need time to make labels and then figure out packaging and figure out your pricing and then figure out your blurb you're going to write up about your product to try and sell it, then go out and start spamming Facebook and everywhere else that you use for advertisements. And it takes time. It's not just a 5-minute job to get all those steps
it takes
done.
time to do all of that, let alone take the orders, and then next thing you know, they've sold you out, and all of that hard work for weeks goes in 5 days. It's all sold out, and you're like, I just did how many hours?
Exactly. Well, the very last product I added was golden pearls. I have it in 3 different sizes now. And I've had that product sitting in a cupboard for over a month because I didn't have time to take a darn picture of it to get it listed. And then when I got it listed, I thought, well, new stuff isn't selling that much. And I'm not really known for saltwater, mainly for freshwater fish. But again, the business is growing. And so I'm trying to get more saltwater stuff. But the golden pearls are great for smaller nano-sized fish or even for people wanting a fry food. But anyway, I forgot to make labels in every size. So, of course, the one size I forgot to make is the size that sold first. So I had to stop everything, sit down at the computer to make a label before I could package it. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I know, Scott, don't you have someone who does the packaging for you?
Yeah. The label and everything was my design, but yeah, they package everything for me, and I have different size bottles, they go into. And ironically, the stuff that I thought would sell the best sold the least, and the stuff I didn't think would sell has sold the most. So I'm stacked up with like egg flake. I thought everybody would buy egg flake. No. It's perfect for fry. It's protein, but no, so very few of those. And brine shrimp flake, not a big seller for some reason for me. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Maybe it's just your target audience, because I know the California blackworm flake, the brine shrimp flake, zooplankton flake, the kelp, the spirulina flakes. What am I missing? Beef heart, bloodworm. Those are probably the most popular individual flakes that I have. And then, of course, I have the mixes. There's the cichlid, the guppy. I can't think of what all there are, but there's several mixes. And then I have the pellets in all different sizes. And one of the newer products I have is a guppy beta or betta, depending on where you're at. Out here, they call them beta. And killifish, there's a granular food for those species that I've started carrying that seems to be popular. So you never know. You always have to try it out. And like with your egg flake, it might be sitting on the shelf right now, but maybe if you hit the right crowd, suddenly you're going to sell 20 pounds of it.
Yeah,
thing.
a lot of my products do come in spurts. I don't know why. Maybe they'll see a video that they see me feeding one type of, flake, and then all of a sudden I've got 10 orders,
right
coming up.
And
So never
that
know.
happens a lot to me with fenbendazole pellets, because Michael does a lot of videos and he uses my fenbendazole pellets in his fish room. So every time he posts a video, and he never warns me or tells me, just all of a sudden I get this huge increase on fenbendazole. And then in the comments, Michael sent me to you.
That is where I've seen your food.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a good supply of her foods as well, and I've sent several to her, and I forgot to let her know they were coming. I think Michael's fish room came to you through me for some medicated fish flakes a year and a half ago or something.
Maybe even longer, who knows?
Yeah, who
But
knows?
I know you, as well as him, are a couple of the people that I sent free samples to, because you do have an audience to try and get the word out about my company when I was first starting too.
Yeah.
Both of you guys helped me grow to where I am today, and I really appreciate that.
I'm glad you're still there. I'm telling you.
I am so thankful that I didn't have to close my doors, because this is my livelihood. I do not have another job. This is
Right.
it.
Yep.
And if I had to close my doors, sorry about that. Someone's got a saw working over there.
I couldn't
Or
hear.
a weed eater. But I don't know what I would do if I had to close my doors with all this pandemic going on and whatnot. I had to lay off employees, so I'm doing it all on my own, which is a big struggle. Yesterday, I started at 7:30 in the morning. I only stopped to eat dinner. I didn't eat anything else, just dinner, just grab a quick bite snack type thing the rest of the day. And I quit at 10:30 last night when I was ready to fall over.
I know those are long days. Well,
Yeah.
God bless you and keep you moving. Amen. And I'm glad that y'all were able to join me today, because it looks like small business has showed up on the show. I invited Bob at Steenfott Aquatics, and he couldn't make it, but I want to include him in the description when I close this, because you guys have quit your public jobs for whatever reason, through disabilities or choice, that your business have taken off. And I'm just glad at this opportunity to bring the audience to you, that you are able to ship, you're willing to ship. In spite of the COVID-19, you won't be shipping any live fish, but the products that you have is still beneficial to our fish rooms. And you all can contact these vendors that are on the screen: Dena at Everything Aquatic, Scott at Fancy Tail Aquatics, and don't forget Jeremy at Little Egypt. He's in Illinois, and when I get his link, I always forget the whole long spiel. I know they have a club, and they went from the club to a small business store that they've opened up. So don't forget Diego at Pet Sonics. On my website, Susan for SLC Aquatics, I have a resource page that y'all can go there and look at some of our small businesses, our home businesses that you all can support at this time. You can still get your supplies. It may take a little bit longer, but be patient, and it will get there. So I'm glad you all were able to be with me. The reason I'm cutting it short is we're coming up on the hour. There's a couple more questions in the chat. Vinny the Mooch wants to know if any of us know a good source for live plants. Go ahead, anybody.
The one that comes to mind is simply Aquarium. Plants.com, because I know they have a lot in stock. I have a wholesale deal with them, but I typically don't sell plants myself, although I've got tons of Java moss and everything else. I just, right now, I live goods I'm not shipping, but try aquariumplants.com. But I think even some of the bigger channels like Aquarium Co-op, I think they're having a hard time getting plants in. I would probably suggest him. You all can name. That's all that comes to my mind.
The only other person I can add to that would be possibly Mark Huffman on Facebook. I think it's Mark of Excellence is the name of his business. I could be wrong, but he specializes just in plants. But I don't know if he's still going today or not.
Okay. They can check him out. What people do is their own business. I don't know what Jason's talking about. Jason and Chewy get in their own conversation. Jason thought that the bloodworm flake was a nice idea, Dena.
Oh, thank you.
We got Dustin Ritchie from Colorado with us today. Hey, Dustin. And I know back in old school, we were told, don't introduce antibiotics and meds so easily because, like you said, they end up becoming resistant and not being effective. And so you're blowing your money and probably, just causing other issues to go on with your fish.
That, and once a medication, once the fish and or the disease or parasite you're trying to treat become resistant, then we have to get stronger and stronger and stronger medications. My order that I'm expecting to arrive today, which is just a big drug order, I've got a couple new antibiotics that I've picked up that I keep having to find stronger and stronger meds. Praziquantel is a broad spectrum dewormer that's used for many species, and there are actually parasites that are becoming resistant to prazi treatments. And so then you're having to reach for fenbendazole, which is or levamisole, which are a different class of parasite drug, that there's no resistance built up to those as yet. But I don't know what we're going to do with parasites once those become a medication that doesn't work. Antibiotics, I mean, we could use things like erythromycin, tetracycline, doxycycline. Now we're having to use kanamycin, which is starting to lose its effectiveness because people are dumping it in their tanks without disease. And then there's, lincomycin, which is commonly referred to as clindamycin. I may be wrong on that. I'm not quite sure. And that's one of the new ones I'm going to get. I recently picked up oxolinic acid, and its description is the last chance antibiotic. When everything else has failed, try this. And so I'm not as familiar with it.
Yeah. But
people are trying it. It seems to work. It's popular more so in the goldfish world. And so that might be an option with mainstream fish keepers in the future. Who knows? But again, if it starts being this is a last chance drug, so I'll just start with it, not finish with it, then pretty soon it's going to lose its effectiveness too over time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've never thrown chemicals in just to throw them in, even if I got new fish in, and I checked with some of my wholesalers. Man, you can't get anything right now, hardly EM erythromycin or anything with medication. So I don't know what people are doing with this stuff. I'm afraid they're taking it.
That's why a lot of people are coming to me, because I do have it and I can ship it so long as they're within the U.S. or not in an area that is restricted, because I can't ship to every country because of restrictions right now.
Right.
But and trying to expand the medications and trying to keep offering different things. And I know for me with erythromycin at the beginning of the year has nothing to do with the pandemic, but my manufacturer had notified me that just that product was going up 30% in their price to me. That's a huge increase to try and swallow up. So needless to say, I had to jack my prices up too. And that makes it harder for people wanting it because it's not a cheap medication.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the more expensive antibiotics, but it's also effective when used properly. And I know erythromycin has a bad rap in the aquarium world, because number one, it's one of the medications that will definitely kill out your cycle, if not completely destroy it, if it's not
Yep.
managed properly.
Yep.
And but that's a risk with any antibiotic, even if it says it's safe and will not kill the cycle. There's no guarantee. It will still kill your cycle, or at least slow it down and affect it some. That's why
Yep.
it's so critical to follow proper directions for proper dosage, water changes, and even with antibiotics, closely monitoring your water parameters so you can catch if something starts going wrong before it kills everything.
Right. Well,
So,
guys, I
yeah.
want to thank you all again for being with us today. I want to bring a conclusion to COVID-19 has affected my shipping of live fish and plants. I want to bring all of this around to some it's affected in different ways, some it hasn't affected at all. But I want to let everyone know that views this video that there are suppliers out there that are still shipping. Dena at Everything Aquatic, Scott at Fancy Tail Aquatics, and these are United States companies. And we have a few others that I will be mentioning in the description. Bob at Steenfott Aquatics, I believe he's waiting for some fish shipments to come in, and he's in Washington, so he is limited on what he can do as far as livestock goes. I believe he's going to be setting up breeding tanks for when the opportunity comes when shipment catches back up with itself again. Bottom line, Chewy Ltd says use salt and do your water changes and check your water perimeters. Thank you, Chewy. Dena, thank you so much, honey. It is so good seeing you. Scott, thank you so much for joining me. Good seeing you. And
Thank you.
everyone, Jeremy had to slip out. His battery died on him really fast. And I forgot to remind everybody, when you do video chats, plug in your battery. But anyway, I love you guys so much. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics. Y'all can hang in there for a little bit after we sign off. Coming to you, touching lives one fish at a time. God bless you. Mwah.